Ladies and gentlemen, the first bout on this evening's card to go distance of 3 rounds by 2 minutes in the welterweight division with amateur rules in application. Introducing to you first, he'll be fighting out of the blue corner, standing 1.75 meters tall and weighing in at 67.15 kilograms, with the blue trunks making his amateur debut. He fights out of Pride Fighting Academy in Cape Town. Please welcome Kyle Ekerman.
Welcome aboard.
And his opponents will be fighting out of the red corner, standing 1.7 meters tall and weighing in at 65.9 kilograms. With the red trunks making his amateur debut, fighting out of Domination Gym in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, please welcome Prishen Govender.
Alright, we kick tonight's action off. The guys will be doing their wide crew, sealing off the ring and just preparing themselves mentally for this battle up ahead. It's a fight between Cape Town and Durban. We have Prishen fighting out of Durban and Kyle fighting out of Cape Town with PFA.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's so good to be back here at the Grandwest Casino and Entertainment World. Cape Town is the place. TFP 4 full swing is about to get underway. Amateur rules and application, so 3 by 2 minute rounds. And what you can see, you cast the eye on the fighters. Protective gear on the elbows and the shins. Carl, you've been there. Does that count for much?
At the end of the day, when you take a strike, it doesn't matter if there's a pad on it, you're going to feel that impact. It's still got all the brute force, but that's obviously just to help the guys prevent cuts. You know, you still feel those kicks. We've seen in some of the fights before on other TFP cards, those welts still come, you still feel that impact. So that's really just a preventative measure to help with cuts and so on.
Blunt force trauma, that's what Muay Thai is all about. You know, these guys are just learning, both of them making their debuts. We're going to see if they've got a mastery of the basics, of course. You know, these kind of bouts absolutely intrinsic for what we're going to see later, the professional segment of tonight's fight card, which is where these guys started. They all were back in the day, the ones wearing the elbow pads, the socks, the crash helmets when they were younger. With the exception of probably Nido Gomba, I'm sure he probably started off in Thailand somewhere and carried on and then came back here and decided, I'm going to keep being a pro. I don't think that guy ever fought amateur.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you're fighting over in Thailand, even the 6-year-old kids are walking around there and fighting with no headgear, no elbow pads. But, you know, in the Western style sport version that we're seeing here today, it's always important to keep fighter safety. And a lot of these guys that, you know, might be a little bit wild, their technique is a little bit unpolished. So it'll be interesting now for us to see these guys in their debuts.
Well, when the bell goes, the nerves are either going to be settled or they're going to be inflamed, and they're about to get underway. 3 rounds, 2 minutes, amateur rules. It's the welterweight division that we're busy in tonight in the first bout of TFP 4. Full swing. Kyle Ekerman in the blue trunks from PFA, Pride Fighting Academy in Cape Town, and he's up against Prishen Govender from the Domination Gym, KwaZulu-Natal, Durban. Durban versus Cape Town, and here we go. You might find the familiar face of the referee for tonight's action in the first bout, Shane Deacon, no stranger. He's a champion from this very organization, and now he's giving back by reffing these youngsters as they get off in their careers.
Yeah, the super welterweight champion stepping in there, making sure that he is also involved in the sport, not just the guy in the gloves, but also helping with maintaining safety and, as you say, giving back.
Good catch, attempted straight right hand down the pipe, fell a bit short from Prishen Govender.
Both guys pretty measured starting out, which is good to see. You know, that means that they're well drilled, they're not coming out wild, the nerves are fairly settled. This is their first fight, especially in front of a big live crowd that we have here tonight. So yeah, it's good for them to start settled. That's also a very Muay Thai stylized way, is starting slow and feeling your opponent out before you get anything too crazy going.
And what a place to kick off your career as an amateur or a professional in a place like this. You know, most of these guys, they do smoker shows. They're in the gyms, they're hidden away from the eye, you know, they're not on television. These guys, they're starting out on the internet worldwide through YouTube, well, in every country except for China, North Korea, and Iraq, or Iran, one of those two. But here we are from Cape Town. We're going live across the world with the beauty of Muay Thai for everyone to see. Kyle Ekerman is the one making all of the movements forward right now.
Yeah, definitely has the reach advantage. His movement looks pretty good. I'd like to see the guys maybe get involved a little bit more clinch if they need to as well, especially if they're getting rushed. But they both, as I said, seem pretty measured, very good at maintaining distance. So we're not going to see too much of them in terms of clinch work. But that'll come as they develop as fighters. They learn that if the space is closed, you can engage in the clinch. You can use your elbows and other weapons besides your basic strikes of punches and kicks. Oh, nice catch there, and he gets the sweep. Judges will be looking for things like this. Good Muay Thai technique. You know, these are things that should be drilled in the gym, not just about walking forward and throwing strikes. It's about, you know, having good presence of mind to catch those sort of kicks and to defend yourself properly.
So the first round is in the can. The happier of the two, possibly Prishen Govender, based on that sweep at the end of the round. I mean, that's the eye-catching thing for the judges, correct?
Yeah, it should be, but of course, the leveler is the fact that Kyle was busy throwing a lot of strikes, landing some good clean technique. So I'd say it's pretty tied up at the moment. We'll see as they progress if we start putting more pressure on as well. I think Prishen looks a little bit tired, maybe in the corner, breathing a bit heavily. That could also just be a dump of adrenaline right now.
See, now how much is that actually going to take out of your stocks? You know, you can be training for weeks and weeks and weeks, doing all the road work, and then you lose it in the first round because of that adrenaline dump. That's a real thing.
Yeah, I remember when I started fighting, people used to say things like, this many rounds is how much you have to go through in the sparring environment just to try and emulate what happens in a fight. So the guys are going to be feeling that now. When they leave this ring tonight, they're going to know they were in a fight, not just from the way that they're being battered, but also just their own internal energies that have been completely drained.
As you saw in the replay there, Prishen Govender with that sweep that caught the eye of not just us, everyone here, but the judges as well. And he starts straight away, as soon as they touch the gloves, being the aggressor.
Yeah, and we've seen that from other guys from the Domination Gym as well. They have quite an aggressive approach, but their technique and styling is very good. They look for these sweeps. These are important things.
Head kicks and leg kicks. That's what the coach, Mike Monemini from Pride Fighting Academy, is shouting at his charge, Kyle Ekerman, as we go into round number 2. Govender, the fastest starter in this round, and here comes Kyle with the flying knees.
Yeah, I'm hearing Mike scream out those calls, but I would maybe be telling him as well to use his teep, especially when Prishen is putting on so much pressure. Keep him away. But there you see, by following up, he's also got big, strong strikes. He's got that reach advantage, needs to just, you know, use that to his advantage.
And I think Ekerman has spotted a little bit of a gap down on the spleen area of Prishen Govender. He hit it twice, he went for it a third time. Prishen had it scouted.
Shane breaks it there, turns them around, continues the fight.
Round number 2, 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining on the clock. seems to have stopped working for some reason, so it's probably a little bit less than that. Good front kick by Kyle Ekerman. Keeps the opponent at bay, keeps you guessing.
Yeah, it keeps you thinking. You never know where the strikes are coming from, especially as you get tired. You start to see a little bit less things that are coming out of nowhere. See both those punches landed, the hands are dropping a little bit, so take advantage, throw kicks to the head, throw the punches. That's exactly what Mike Mnemini was screaming at him, to go for those shots.
And he's zeroing in on that rib area again, looking for the punches to the body. Probably would have been suited if he had just sort of planted his legs and gave it everything he had instead of trying to do it on the fly.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes, obviously, when you jump in the air, you're getting momentum, so that does add to the strike. But, I mean, you coming from a boxing background especially, you plant your feet, you put it down, and that's going to give you that chain, that kinetic reaction from the floor to your arm, to your fist.
Yeah, me being a boxing guy, something I wish they had in boxing was buckets like these in the corners. How smart is that? You know, you complain about the corners being wet. Obviously, the ring gets wet when you walk it into the middle of the ring. These buckets, not a smart design. It's very simple, but makes such a huge difference to the running of the rest of the night. You know, sometimes there are fighters who like to have a bucket poured over them. At least we're going to catch it, we're going to move it out of the ring, and the fighters are going to stay safe. There's not going to be any unnecessary fall downs for moisture reasons in the middle of the ring. So well done to Thaiholics Fight Promotions for bringing in that innovation. We've seen it in the last couple of events, but we've never really talked about it. Great idea.
Yeah, and that's something that you see in Thailand. Almost every stadium has these buckets, these giant buckets. So, I mean, it's also part of reenacting what we see in Thailand and getting that traditional feel.
Boxing, MMA, pay attention. Get the buckets.
Kind of difficult to throw a big bucket like that into an MMA cage, but I hear what you're saying. To
Over
try and,
the
you know,
top,
over safety and so on.
Frisbee, let's go. Round
All right,
number 3.
here we go. This is where it gets a little bit interesting now. Oi, just misses that head kick there. Oh, he looks for a spinning elbow, misses. Prishen ducks under, throws their own little back elbow himself. Interesting technique. It often works quite well if you step forward first and then push that elbow. Bit of a spear attack, but it obviously needs a base before you can push that out. Nice power coming there from Carl. You can see that Carl's got a lot more energy in this round. I think Prishen, he's still got something in him, but you can see the way his hands are dropping, the way he's absorbing these shots.
This is where the guy who's done more of the road work is going to start taking over in the deep round number 3 of this 3x2 minute round. Opening encounter at TFP 4, full swing. Good frontal kicks from Kyle Ekerman as he keeps it going. That's 3 in a row.
Yeah, exactly. Using that range. That's something that obviously these guys are training a lot. They also, you know, coming from a more MMA style gym, you get to do things like that. The up kicks are good. Gets caught in the groin there. Referee Shane Deacon beckons them back to fighting. It's at this point in the fight where the guys just need to go for broke. I think it's pretty close. I maybe have Carl in the lead at the moment, except for the fact that maybe Prishen caught a few kicks and sweeps. So interesting to see what the judges are favoring here. Every judge, you know, has a different opinion on what they feel was the better strike or catch or throw. The knees are important. The clinch work is important, and also just general dominance. So, you know, depending what they see in the fight.
An attempted swinging or spinning elbow going there from Kyle Ekerman, but he never really put much investment into that. That was very speculative.
Yeah, it's also just in case, you know, it keeps your opponent away. I'd like to do a lot of spinning and following up if there's a kick or anything that goes after that. Great fight from the guys, especially on their debut. Great to see their sportsmanship as well, hugging it out to death at the finish. Right, looking at the body language, the guys from the PFA corner look pretty happy with that. But I don't think they should be counting those chickens too soon. We'll see what the judges have to say about this. In fact, keep those gloves on. You never know. We might have an extra round here. Just seeing a few lazy shots. Guys are getting a little bit tired there in that 3rd round. But this is where they'll learn. They'll learn about energy preservation as they go through these amateur bites and figure their fighting styles out and how to push and when to push. All right, referee Shane Deacon ready to announce the winners. Looks like we have a decision. Carl Ekerman looks positive. Body language is always important.
Ladies and gentlemen, the opening bout goes the distance of 3 rounds, and we go to the judges' scorecards. Your winner, coming by way of unanimous decision victory, fighting out of the blue corner and Pride Fighting Academy, Carl Ekerman.
See how much that meant to the guys. Elated in the corner there. Carl Ekerman winning his first fight in front of a live crowd. Great feeling for him. Not a bad job there done by Prishen. Came out fighting. He was constantly game. It's also good to see. So as we said, we have 5 amateur fights on the card tonight. Most of these guys are making their debuts, so we expect to see a little bit of, you know, wild exhibitions, but at the same time, there's a lot of time for the guys here. They could have been putting in the hours at the gym, so we'll see what they have to show first.